Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Listen carefully. Let me tell you something brutally honest today. Because someone has to. A woman who knows her worth doesn't chase after anyone. Not love, not approval, not attention. Why? Because she's done living life on her knees. She's done asking for a seat at a table she could flip over and build better herself. She's not here to be liked. She's here to be respected, feared, and remembered. You see, the world loves to shape a woman before she knows what she's made of. It tells her, be softer, smile more, lower your voice, don't make them uncomfortable. But when she finally realizes what she's worth, not what she's been told she's worth, but what she truly carries within, she stops asking for permission. And that's when everything changes. She doesn't enter rooms hoping to be noticed. She owns the space before she even speaks. Her silence becomes deafening, her presence unshakable. She doesn't scream for attention, because her aura already speaks louder than any words ever could. That's what self-worth looks like. That's what real danger is. A woman who doesn't need the world to validate her every move, you can't break her with rejection anymore. Because she's no longer trying to prove her value. She knows her value. She's sculpted it out of every betrayal, every disappointment, every time she was underestimated. Every single scar she wears like royal armor. She's not dressing up to impress you. She's not posting for your likes. She's not replying to your late night messages. She's not here for crumbs when she could bake her own table full of feasts. This woman has become a force. You don't see her crying on the bathroom floor anymore. You don't see her waiting for a text that never comes. You don't see her begging for someone to love her right, because she finally loves herself right. And when that switch flips, when she stops looking outside for value and finds it rooted deep inside, she becomes untouchable. She doesn't need to compete with anyone. Not the prettier woman, not the richer one, not the most successful one, because she's not in a race. She's in her own league, running on a path she created with her own damn hands. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand her. Let them think she's too much. She is too much for people who are too little. A woman like this doesn't raise her voice to prove a point. Her calm is dangerous. Her silence is terrifying. Because if she walks away, it's not out of weakness. It's out of clarity. She's done explaining her value to people committed to misunderstanding it. She doesn't chase. She replaces. She doesn't beg. She builds. She doesn't stay where she's not valued. She disappears and reinvents herself. Stronger, louder, bigger. Men don't intimidate her. Society doesn't guilt her. Family pressure doesn't break her. She's walked through fire already barefoot and came out glowing like a furnace. So no, she doesn't chase love anymore. She becomes love. She doesn't wait for someone to save her. She saves herself. And the world, it doesn't know how to handle that. People stare at her and call her arrogant. They call her difficult. They say, she's changed. Yes, she has. She buried the girl who once begged for attention and resurrected the woman who commands it without even trying. And that woman, she's unstoppable. She's dangerous not because she wants to destroy others, but because she refuses to destroy herself ever again just to fit in, to be liked, to be kept. Let me tell you something, they'll try to dim her light. Say she's too loud, too wild, too independent. But here's the thing, fire never asks permission to burn. And this woman, she's fire, not just flames, wildfire. She won't adjust her heat for anyone. She won't lower herself just to raise someone else's ego. And if her power scares you, it's probably because you've never seen a woman who isn't desperate to be accepted by small minds. And that's the danger. That's what makes her powerful. She's unpredictable. She's self-sufficient. She doesn't need your approval to feel alive. She already knows who she is. And once a woman knows who she is, completely, fiercely, unapologetically, you can't manipulate her. You can't gaslight her. You can't make her feel less than. You either rise to meet her level, or she leaves you behind without looking back. So if you ever come across a woman like this, don't mistake her silence for weakness. Don't assume her kindness is an invitation to cross boundaries. Don't play games thinking she'll chase you. She won't. Not anymore. The moment she feels disrespected, undervalued, or unappreciated, she won't start a war. She'll simply walk away. That's her power. Quiet exits, loud growth. And when you look back trying to find her again, you'll realize something horrifying. You didn't lose a woman. You lost a storm, a vision, a damn revolution. And you won't find her again. Because she's too busy building her empire to come back and fix what never deserved her in the first place. That's what makes her dangerous. Not her beauty, not her body, not her charm, her awareness of her own worth. The world doesn't know what to do with a woman who doesn't need saving. So it tries to break her spirit, confuse her, tame her. But it's already too late. She woke up, and once a woman wakes up to her own worth, nothing, and I mean nothing, can ever put her back to sleep. You want to know what real power looks like? It's not in loud words or constant movement. It's in silence. It's in the ability to say no, without apology, without explanation, without hesitation. It's in a woman who protects her peace like it's the last treasure on earth because she's fought like hell to earn it. You can call her cold. You can call her distant. You can label her too guarded. That's fine. She'd rather be misunderstood than misused. She's not available 24/7 anymore. Not because she's busy, but because she's selective. Her time is not a public playground. Her energy is not for sale. She's not opening her door to chaos wrapped in a charming smile. No. She's seen what that costs. She's paid for it in sleepless nights, anxious mornings, and battles no one else could see. She's learned something that most people never do. Peace is expensive. And now that she owns it, she won't let anyone walk in with muddy feet. She's not arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding her. She's not responding to drama just because it's loud. She's not explaining herself to those who only listen to attack. Her silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Her distance is not arrogance, it's self-respect. This is a woman who has made peace her top priority. You know why? Because she's been to war. The kind of war where your own mind turns on you, where your heart keeps forgiving what it should have walked away from, where your soul gets exhausted from being constantly betrayed, constantly doubted, constantly drained. She knows what chaos costs, and she refuses to pay that price ever again. She doesn't respond to every text. She doesn't pick up every call. She doesn't say yes just to be liked. She doesn't go out just to be seen. She doesn't give in to guilt, trips dressed as friendships. She doesn't entertain people who live in gossip, thrive on drama, or carry bitterness like it's a personality trait. She's done trying to fix what others refuse to acknowledge, done shrinking so others feel comfortable, done explaining why her peace matters more than their approval. This woman doesn't need a crowd to feel relevant. She doesn't need noise to feel alive. She's found power in stillness, fire in silence, strength in solitude, and now she chooses peace every damn time. You can tempt her with love, with status, with attention, but if it disturbs her inner calm, if it disrupts her emotional balance, she will leave without blinking. Her home is clean. Her mind is organized. Her circle is small, and her standards brutal. Not because she's bitter, but because she's healed. And healing taught her that not everyone deserves access to you just because they want it. Not everyone deserves to sit at your table just because they know your name. She has boundaries like steel gates now. Not walls of fear, but fences of wisdom. You won't hear her defending herself to every critic. You won't see her justifying her silence. You won't see her proving anything to people who don't even know how to value themselves. Because she doesn't need the noise. She doesn't need the chaos. She doesn't need the toxic compliments laced with control. She has outgrown all of it. And if you mistake her peace for passivity, you're already blind to her power. Peace is not a weakness. It's the highest form of power. It's the ability to walk away without a scene, to choose calm in the middle of provocation, to remain composed when others are losing their minds. That's power. That's royalty. That's mastery. She's not the woman who'll argue with you for hours just to be understood. She'll listen once, maybe twice, and if you still bring storms to her doorstep, she won't fight you. She'll vanish. Not out of fear, but because nothing is worth her peace anymore. Not love, not history, not what we used to be. If it costs her stability, it's too expensive. She's the woman who'll leave your unread messages hanging for days, not to punish you, but because she's prioritizing her mental space. She'll cancel plans last minute if her spirit feels off. She'll cut off decades-long friendships if they start to rot her self-worth. And no, she won't explain it all, because peace doesn't come with a user manual. You don't get to question her distance. You don't get to challenge her silence. If you were part of her peace, you'd still be there. If not, you were part of the noise, and she's done letting noise define her life. She doesn't clap back. She doesn't beg. She doesn't cry in public. She transforms in silence. She reclaims herself in solitude. And when she emerges, she's stronger, clearer, more focused, and entirely unstoppable. You see, when a woman discovers that peace is not something the world can give, but something she has to build, she stops outsourcing her happiness. She stops letting people dictate her mood. Her schedule, her priorities, she doesn't react, she chooses. She doesn't panic, she plans. She doesn't chase calm, she becomes it. And if you think you can manipulate her by withdrawing your attention, you're in for a rude awakening. This is a woman who thrives in silence, who blossoms in isolation, who refuels in quiet. You're not punishing her by leaving, you're liberating her. She doesn't spiral anymore when someone walks away. She simply adjusts her throne, sharpens her crown, and moves on without a backward glance. Because that's what it means to protect your peace like a fortress. It means building a life that doesn't crumble when others leave. It means cultivating joy that doesn't rely on someone else's mood. It means being so rooted in your own calm that chaos becomes boring. And that kind of woman, she doesn't just survive the world, she redefines it. There comes a point in life when you don't just grow, you evolve. You evolve so hard that the version of you that once begged, apologized, stayed silent, tolerated disrespect, tried to shrink herself just to fit into someone's fragile comfort dies. She dies, and in her place stands a woman who doesn't flinch when it's time to walk away. Not because she's heartless, but because she's had enough of being made to feel small in spaces where she deserved to be celebrated. She's not waiting around anymore, hoping someone sees her worth. She knows what she brings to the table, and she's not afraid to eat alone. If you make her feel unseen, unheard, undervalued, she won't fight for your attention. She won't lower her voice. She won't explain her soul to people committed to misunderstanding her. She'll exit quietly, powerfully, entirely. This woman has spent too long breaking herself into smaller and smaller pieces to fit into relationships, jobs, environments, conversations that never deserved her in the first place. She's done now. She's outgrown your shallow praise, your half-effort love, your passive aggression wrapped in fake concern. She doesn't do crumbs. She doesn't do half-present people. She doesn't do circles where playing small is the price for being accepted. Every time you talked over her, she remembered. Every time you underestimated her fire, she stored it. Every time you chose your ego over her truth, she grew colder. And one day, when she finally realized that her power was not in staying, but in walking away, you lost her. You don't get to measure her by your weak standards anymore. You don't get to call her too much because she refused to shrink. You don't get to guilt her into staying where her light was being dimmed. If the room couldn't handle her brilliance, then the room wasn't built for her. And she's okay with that. She doesn't fear rejection anymore. She fears staying too long in places that poison her spirit. This woman will walk away mid-conversation if you disrespect her. She'll delete your number while you're still typing your excuse. She'll end a decades-long relationship if it requires her to constantly defend her worth. Because when a woman reaches the level where she knows she's enough, she doesn't cling, she chooses. She doesn't beg, she blesses herself with distance. She's not emotionally unavailable. She's emotionally evolved. There's a difference. She doesn't have time for inconsistent energy, mixed signals, backhanded compliments, or subtle competition masked as friendship. She sees through it all now. She's fluent in energy. She doesn't need your words. Your vibe tells her everything. And the second she feels small, diminished, or disrespected, she doesn't explode, she elevates. She's not asking for the bare minimum anymore. She is the minimum. She doesn't tolerate lazy effort, broken promises, or one-sided loyalty. If you make her feel like she's too ambitious, or too honest, or too intense, good. That means she's finally making you uncomfortable enough to show your true colors. And here's the truth that scares people: she won't stay to fix what keeps breaking her. She's not your rehabilitation center. She's not your emotional crutch. She's not here to prove herself to people who don't even know how to love themselves. She's already done the inner work. She's blood cried, healed, rebuilt. So now she protects herself. And sometimes that protection comes in the form of silence, distance, a block number or a slammed door. Call her savage, call her heartless, call her whatever helps you sleep at night. But deep down, you know what she really is: free. She's free from the need to explain why she left. She's free from the need to wait for closure. She is the closure. Her walking away is not a loss, it's a warning. You either rise to meet her level or you vanish from her world. Because here's what most people never understand: a woman doesn't just walk away randomly. She walks away when every part of her being has been exhausted trying to shrink herself to fit into a place never meant for her. And when she finally chooses herself over your comfort, it's not revenge, it's rebirth. She's not interested in pleasing everyone anymore. That girl died when the tears stopped being seen, when her loyalty kept getting exploited, when her compassion was mistaken for weakness. Now, she walks like she owns the ground, she talks like her words are currency, and her energy, priceless. So don't mistake her silence for permission, don't mistake her kindness for naivety, don't mistake her peace for weakness. The truth is, she's simply no longer interested in anything or anyone that makes her forget how powerful she is. You had the chance to meet her softly, to love her purely, to honor her presence. But if your ego demanded that she shrink for your comfort, she will gladly walk away and take every bit of her light with her. And trust me, when she's gone, everything feels smaller, dimmer, colder. Because a woman like that doesn't just leave the room, she takes the atmosphere with her. That's the power of a woman who no longer tolerates being made to feel small. She becomes the earthquake that shifts her entire reality, not out of rage, out of clarity. She's not here to be tolerated, she's here to be respected fully, fiercely, unapologetically. She doesn't shrink to fit anyone's comfort zone anymore. She doesn't edit her soul to be digestible. She doesn't dilute her power to be palatable. She's unapologetically herself, and that alone makes her dangerous in a world that profits from a woman's self-doubt. She doesn't wear masks for approval. She doesn't bend backwards for validation. She's not chasing the illusion of perfect because she knows perfection is the graveyard of authenticity. She has looked into the mirror and accepted every scar, every mistake, every chaotic twist that made her who she is. She's not interested in pretending to be someone more likable. She doesn't smile to make others feel less threatened. She's not here to perform. She's here to exist loudly, wildly, boldly. If her strength intimidates you, she won't apologize. If her confidence offends you, that's your problem to unpack, not hers. This woman doesn't ask for permission to speak her truth. She doesn't second guess her gut just because someone else gets uncomfortable. She says what she means what she says. And if that's too much for you, walk. She's not softening her truth just to keep you. She's not tiptoeing around the fire just to protect egos. She is the fire now. She's the type who'll sit in a room full of pretense and speak what no one else dares to say. She'll call out the elephant in the room, not to be bold, but because she refuses to play dumb. You don't get fake smiles and polite lies with her. You get realness, raw, unfiltered, unpolished. Because that's the version of her that survived everything the world tried to bury her with. She doesn't follow the script. She burns it. She doesn't mimic. She creates. You'll never find her echoing the trends just to blend in. She leads with intuition, not imitation. She builds with courage, not conformity. She's carved her identity from stone, not sand. Nothing shakes her unless she wants to move. Her presence is too wild for those addicted to control, too bold for those trapped in comfort, too real for those who live in lies. And she's not going to apologize for it anymore. She has spent too many years trying to be likable, tolerable, small. She used to apologize for taking up space, for having opinions, for being too passionate, too emotional, too intense. Until one day she asked herself, why? Why do I have to tone down what's real just to be accepted by people who don't even love themselves? So she stopped apologizing for evolving, for setting boundaries, for cutting off energy that felt fake, for dressing the way she wants, for saying no without explanation, for choosing solitude over superficial connection, for walking away from people who only loved the version of her they could control. She stopped saying sorry for being too much. Now she asks, too much for who? For someone who can't match her frequency, for someone who fears depth, for someone who only knows how to love halfway. Let them go. She's not here to make herself smaller so others can feel bigger. That era is over. Dead, buried, forgotten. You see, when a woman steps into her truth unapologetically, she becomes unstoppable. Not because she's invincible, but because she's free from performance, free from needing to be liked, free from explaining herself to people who are committed to misunderstanding her. She wears her truth like armor, not to attack, but to protect the sacred space she's built inside herself. And yes, it costs her. Being real always does. She's lost people who couldn't handle her light. She's been called names, misjudged, villainized for simply choosing herself. But let me tell you something, that pain carved her into steel. That loss taught her to stop looking for home in other people. That rejection redirected her to a place deeper, stronger, higher. Now, she doesn't conform. She disrupts. She doesn't ask, will they like me? She asks, do they respect my energy? She doesn't chase love. She is love. She doesn't follow the rules. She writes them. She lives a life so full of soul that mediocre minds will always question it, and she's at peace with that. She knows she's not for everyone, and she's not trying to be. She's not the watered-down version. She's not the convenience store kind of soul. She's an acquired taste, a rare storm, a sacred fire. You either respect her or you move out of the way. She has earned the right to be fully, completely unapologetically herself. Every tear, every heartbreak, every betrayal, every breakdown, it all built this version of her. So no, she's not going back. She's not making herself smaller for people who couldn't even hold space for her full self. She is loud, she is soft, she is wild, she is wise, she's chaos and calm, storm and stillness, elegance and fire, and she's done apologizing for it. This world doesn't need more women who know how to fake it. It needs more women who know how to own it, who know how to walk into a room without shrinking, who know how to speak without softening the truth, who know how to exist without permission. She's not scared to be judged. She's scared to die never having lived in her truth. That's why she speaks loud. That's why she dresses bold. That's why she loves hard, leaves fast, and dreams even harder. That's why she refuses to settle for anything less than electric connection and soul deep freedom. She's not just a woman, she's a revolution. And she will not apologize for that ever again. She doesn't chase, she doesn't beg. She doesn't run after anything or anyone. Not because she's arrogant, not because she doesn't feel deeply, but because she finally knows what she brings. And when you truly know your value, when your soul is rich, when your energy is rare, you stop giving discounts to people who can't afford your presence. She doesn't chase, she attracts. Her power isn't in the volume of her voice, it's in the silence that demands attention. It's in the way she walks into a room and shifts the temperature without saying a word. She doesn't fight for attention, she commands it, not with force, but with presence. Because presence is louder than noise. You'll never see her throwing herself at anyone. You'll never see her desperately trying to be seen, heard, or chosen. She's not trying to compete in a world full of smoke and mirrors. Why? Because she is the mirror. She reflects back truth. She reflects back who you really are. And the truth terrifies most people. That's why only the bold, the real, the secure can stand in front of her without flinching. This woman has no desire to chase love, approval, money, or opportunities. She knows that what's meant for her will come. Not because she's passive, but because she's aligned. Her soul is in sync with her purpose. She knows the law of energy. What you radiate, you attract, and she radiates clarity. She radiates peace. She radiates intensity, integrity, intuition. She doesn't manipulate outcomes. She becomes the outcome. While others are exhausting themselves, trying to be liked, trying to impress, trying to prove, she's mastering the art of receiving. Not by sitting idle, but by knowing. Knowing that her aura will pull in what aligns. Knowing that her frequency will repel the fake, the half-hearted, the confused. She doesn't want everyone. She only wants what's real. What's whole? What's sacred? She's not running around checking who's watching her stories, who's liking her posts, who's responding to her messages. She's not glued to validation. She validates herself every damn day. Through discipline, through silence, through the way she shows up for herself when no one's watching. And that kind of woman, you can't buy her. You can't trick her. You can't rush her. She doesn't want love born out of panic. She wants love born out of power. Not the love that says, I need you to complete me. No, the love that says, I am whole, and I see the same wholeness in you. That's why she waits. That's why she pauses. Not because she's unsure, but because she refuses to settle. She knows the price of chasing things that don't belong. It drains the spirit, and her spirit is not up for negotiation. She's not out here chasing temporary highs. She's not addicted to the thrill of attention. She's addicted to growth, to elevation, to truth. And that makes her dangerous because she can't be lured by surface level charm. You want to attract her, match her energy, speak with purpose, move with intention, come clean or don't come at all. She doesn't need to remind you what you lost. Her absence will do it for her. Because the way she loved was rare. The way she gave was real. The way she showed up fully, fearlessly, fiercely, that doesn't come around twice. So if she walked away, it wasn't out of weakness. It was her final act of power. She's not bitter. She's just no longer willing to bleed for people who wouldn't even offer a bandage. She's not cold. She just realized warmth is a gift, not an obligation. She's not selfish. She just decided to stop handing out pieces of herself to people who never deserved her in the first place. When you carry power in your soul, you don't chase, you set standards, you hold space. You wait for alignment. She knows now that anything she has to chase isn't rooted in mutual energy. It's rooted in imbalance. And imbalance is poison to a woman who's tasted peace. You can't tempt her with games. She's not moved by effort that's inconsistent, attention that's convenient, or emotions that only show up when it's easy. She sees through the performance. She's already danced with disappointment, sat at the table with betrayal, stared heartbreak in the face and didn't blink. So now she doesn't beg, she doesn't chase, she doesn't plead. She attracts because she is attraction. Not in the physical sense, but in essence, in power, in soul, in energy. Her stillness is magnetic, her boundaries are electric, her standards ruthless. But not because she's cruel, because she finally respects herself so deeply that she refuses to allow anything less than what aligns with her highest self. She's not looking for promises. She's watching patterns. She's not listening to what you say. She's watching how you act. And if it doesn't feel right, she'll disappear so silently. You'll feel her gone louder than you ever felt her presence. Because that's what happens when a woman stops chasing. She becomes a force. Unapologetic, unshakable, unavailable to anything that drains her. And that, my friend, is power. You think she's afraid to be alone? No, she was born in silence, carved by solitude, raised in her own echo. The world keeps telling women that alone means abandoned, that if no one's calling, no one's choosing them, they must be broken. That's a lie. That's the kind of poison people sell to make powerful women feel small. But let me tell you something dangerous. This woman has chosen solitude, not because it was easy, but because it was real. It was hers. She doesn't flinch in the quiet anymore. The silence, it speaks her name now. It doesn't scare her. It saves her. She's no longer chasing distractions to feel worthy. She's no longer keeping busy just to feel wanted. She's not dating to avoid loneliness. She's not staying connected to people who dilute her energy. She's not looking for completion because she already is whole, enough, complete, by herself. This woman has faced the kind of nights where her phone didn't ring, her inbox stayed empty, and not a single soul asked, "How are you really?" And guess what? She survived. No, she transformed. She turned that silence into power, that absence into alignment. She learned to feed herself joy, to build her own peace, to dance in the middle of her storms with no one clapping. And now she doesn't need anyone to hold her together. She holds herself. You see, there's a terrifying kind of beauty in a woman who's not afraid to be alone. You can't guilt her. You can't bait her with loneliness. You can't bribe her with attention. You can't manipulate her with validation, because the things you're offering, she already gives to herself. The love, the praise, the company, the calm, she's mastered the art of self-sufficiency. And the truth is, she'd rather be alone in truth than surrounded by people faking connection. She doesn't do empty conversations. She doesn't tolerate half-felt apologies or ghosted messages followed by weak excuses. She's not here to be someone's maybe. She's not someone you keep on the shelf until you're ready. No, she's the kind of woman who walks away the moment she feels her presence is being taken for granted. You don't get to access her just because she's nice. You don't get to waste her time just because she's understanding. That version of her, the one who waited, tolerated, doubted herself just to feel included, she's gone, buried under layers of wisdom she earned by sitting with her pain instead of running from it. She knows what it means to cry without witnesses, to break without backup, to rebuild without applause. So now, if you want her in your life, you better come correct, come whole, come real. Because she's not filling in your blanks anymore. She's not lowering her frequency to meet you. If you can't meet her in truth, don't come knocking. She doesn't fear Friday nights alone. She doesn't panic when there's no one to call. She doesn't crumble without constant contact. In fact, it's in those moments when the world is quiet and she's left with nothing but herself that she shines brightest. Because that's where she connects with her vision. That's where she hears her own voice the loudest. That's where she plans, prays, heals, grows. Alone doesn't mean empty. Alone means uninterrupted. And don't you dare think she's lonely. Being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. Loneliness is desperation. Alone is declaration. It says, I choose me. It says, I'm not afraid to face my shadow. It says, I'd rather light my own fire than sit in someone else's smoke. This woman would rather walk barefoot in the cold than stay in places that burn her soul. She's not waiting to be saved. She's not waiting to be chosen. She's already chosen herself. Every morning, every sleepless night, every battle you didn't see. And she's still standing, stronger, louder, sharper. Alone didn't break her, it built her. So when you see her out there, glowing, grounded, unbothered, it's not because life handed her peace, it's because she earned it. Brick by brick, tear by tear, step by step. She chose herself when others forgot how to. She clapped for herself when the room went silent. She loved herself back to life when no one else knew how to. You can't seduce her with company that costs her peace. You can't convince her to stay with people who shrink her shine. If the vibe's not right, she'll bounce. If the energy's off, she'll cut it. If her soul feels caged, she'll walk out, no matter who's on the other side. That's how dangerous she's become. She's not chasing connection anymore. She's becoming the connection. So don't mistake her quiet life for emptiness. Her peace is loud, her growth is thunder, her solitude, that's where the magic lives. That's where she turns pain into poetry, wounds into wisdom, silence into strategy. And if you ever get the chance to know a woman like that, who is not afraid to be alone, you better not come half-hearted. Because she's not scared to lose you. She's scared to lose herself. And that's a fear she'll never let come true again.